It all started on a regular Tuesday. I woke up to the sound of my alarm ringing, groggy but determined to start my day. It was a bit overcast outside, but nothing out of the ordinary. I stretched, yawned, and went about my morning routine. Shower, coffee, breakfast, just like every other day. I had moved into this apartment a few months ago. It was cozy, tucked away in a quiet neighborhood, and I liked the solitude. No loud neighbors, no bustle of city life, just peace. But peace wasn't what I got that day. It started with a light flicker. Nothing serious, just the overhead bulb in the kitchen flickering a few times as I stood at the counter pouring my coffee. I thought it was just an old bulb needing replacement. Then, as I made my way out of the kitchen and into the living room, I noticed the temperature drop. My breath was visible in the air, and the chill ran through me like a cold gust of wind, though the windows were shut. At first, I shrugged it off, but then things escalated. That evening, while watching TV, I heard footsteps from upstairs. The apartment above me was vacant. I had checked. I got up, half expecting to find a neighbor moving in, but the hallway was empty. The next day, the sounds grew louder, scraping noises as if something was dragging across the floor. I checked every corner of the apartment, but nothing. No sign of intrusion, nothing out of place. By the third day, the whispering started. It was faint at first, like a distant murmur I couldn't quite make out. But by evening, I could clearly hear someone calling my name, softly at first, then louder, almost pleading. "Help! Help me!" I called the building's maintenance to check for any issues, but they found nothing. No malfunctioning pipes, no electrical problems, nothing that could explain the cold spots, the flickering lights, or the whispers. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Something was wrong. Part 2. The strange incidents. It wasn't just the strange sounds anymore. It was the way objects began to move when I wasn't looking. The bookshelf I had arranged neatly. Now books were scattered across the floor. The chair in the kitchen I always pushed in. Now it sat askew, facing the wall. The weirdest thing, though, was the mirror in the bathroom. One morning, I saw something in the reflection, a shadow behind me, just out of the corner of my eye. When I spun around, nothing was there. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't crazy. I tried to brush it all off, tried to tell myself it was just stress, just the normal paranoia that comes with being alone too much. But the feeling, the suffocating, oppressive feeling that I wasn't alone, only grew. It followed me everywhere. By the 5th day, I was exhausted. The lack of sleep, the constant feeling of being watched, it was driving me insane. I finally reached out to someone, a friend of a friend, a psychic medium who specialized in dealing with things beyond the ordinary. I had nothing to lose. I called her, and she agreed to come by that evening. Her name was Marie. Part 3. The exorcism attempt. Marie arrived right as the sun began to set. Her presence immediately filled the apartment with a strange calmness, but it was a calm that didn't quite feel natural. She scanned the room carefully, her eyes narrowing, her brow furrowing as she moved from one corner to the next. "I can feel it," she said softly. "It's here. It's been here for a while." I could feel my pulse quicken, and I didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. She wasn't dismissing me. She was taking it seriously. "Whatever it is, it's strong," Marie continued. "And it's not just a ghost, it's something darker." I swallowed hard. What do you mean? A demon?" Marie nodded, her expression grave. "Yes, a demon. And it's feeding off your fear, growing stronger every day." I froze. It was a strange, detached feeling, like a part of me didn't want to believe it, but another part deep inside knew the truth. This was real. Marie set down her bag and began laying out her tools, candles, incense, and a strange bundle of herbs. She started chanting softly, words I couldn't understand, as she moved around the apartment, focusing on each room. As she worked, I noticed something. The temperature dropped again, even colder than before. The air thickened, and I could feel a presence, darker and heavier than anything I'd experienced before. Suddenly, the whispers returned, louder this time, more insistent. "Leave. Leave. You don't belong here." I jumped, my heart racing. I looked at Marie, who had stopped moving. She was staring straight ahead, her face pale. "It's trying to communicate," she whispered. "It's not happy we're here." The candles flickered violently as the temperature dropped even further, and then the lights in the apartment went out completely. The only illumination came from the candlelight and the faint glow of Marie's incense. "Tell it to leave," Marie said. "Ask it what it wants." I stood frozen for a moment, unsure whether to speak or not. But then I found my voice. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice shaking. The answer came, but not from Marie. It came from the shadows themselves, a voice that rasped and echoed in my mind. "I want you, your fear, your soul." The air grew thick with the weight of its presence, and suddenly I felt a cold, skeletal hand grip my ankle. I screamed, but no sound escaped. Marie began chanting faster, louder, more desperately. She moved to the center of the room, holding a small silver knife, and began to make symbols in the air, chanting louder with each passing second. The room seemed to tremble, the walls cracking, the whispers becoming a cacophony of screams. The voice, now furious, lashed out. "You cannot drive me away. I was here long before you." Marie stepped forward, shouting, "I command you, demon, be gone! Leave this place or face my wrath." There was a deafening silence. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything stopped. The whispers died. The cold lifted. The room returned to its normal temperature. But I knew it wasn't over. Not really. Marie stood there, breathing heavily, sweat beading on her forehead. She looked at me, her expression both relieved and grim. "It's gone for now, but it will return if you don't leave." "Leave?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "What do you mean?" Marie looked at me with pity in her eyes. "The demon has claimed this place. It feeds on the fear of its occupants. You need to leave, or you'll become its next victim." I didn't want to leave. I loved this place. But I knew I didn't have a choice. As I packed my things, I couldn't shake the feeling that the demon was still watching, waiting for the moment when I'd be vulnerable again. The whispers, faint but present, followed me as I left. And as I closed the door behind me for the last time, I could hear it one final time, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. "You'll be back. I'll make sure of it."